Se o silêncio dissesse tudo, sentimento bom que me leva pro outro mundo. A vontade de te ver já é maior que tudo. Não existem distâncias no meu novo mundo, tipo coisas da sétima.
And what's up, guys? By the time you're hearing this, it's going to be Christmas Eve, December 24th. Michael Hillebrand, 10th Planet Black Belt. Welcome, man. How's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here. It's really good to have you. We've been kind of playing phone tag for about a few months, trying to get it going. But
yeah.
I've been kind of on the road, sort of doing non-podcast stuff. So it's cool to kick it back off and going to start 2019 with lots of good content and good talk. So really happy to have you here, man. It's been a little rainy outside lately, but you're down here training, man. How's it going?
Dude, everything's good, man. Yeah, today was a busy day. I just got done, I teach the program over at Genentech. So I just got done teaching that. And then after that, I went over to Kaios, got some gi training in, put the pajamas on.
Oh, man.
And now I'm out here hanging out with you. Excellent,
man. So were you mostly doing, 10th Planet, no gi place. Do you do any gi training? Is this new for you? Were you always doing gi also, or?
No. I started off as a gi guy. So I started off training in the gi. I was doing MMA and gi. That was my primary focus before I came over to 10th Planet. When I started with 10th Planet, I pretty much dropped the gi and then just focused on doing no gi. And then recently, just a couple times here and there, I'll have different friends at different gyms, like Kyle hit me up and be like, hey, bring your gi today. And I'm like, all right, fine.
Man, they did really well at No-Gi Worlds again. Obviously, Yuri came in. Was it second absolute?
Yeah.
I think he won the last 2 years in a row gold, and he's got basically every no-gi accolade you can think of. For especially a guy your size, like Yuri at that level, that's the training partner you want, right?
Yuri is definitely the king at that weight, man. He is an absolute savage.
Definitely, man. He's is he still looking at MMA also, or is it just?
I haven't talked to him about that. I don't really know. I know he was training there, I think at AKA for a while there, and
we'd see him every now and then. But I think he had some health thing, like a leg thing that he had to.
Yeah, I know he's been doing some rehab stuff, and but dude, he's strong as hell, man. He's if he's injured, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, you sort of watched him go against guys, and it's like, oh man, that doesn't look fun at all. Just pressure. And who's over there lately? You got Kaio, Flavio's still over there. They got some good brown belts as well.
Yeah, dude. Kaio's is just a talent pool. It's a crazy amount of time pool. But they got Kanyela and Benji, really good up and coming brown belts. Oh, yeah. Those guys are absolute savages, and I love the training I get with those guys.
Yeah, Jeremy Jackson's over there.
Yeah, Jeremy Jackson. He's a machine too.
Benji Silva's cool. He's Want versus Need guy too.
Yeah,
super cool guy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. He always is. He always has it on. Now to think about connecting the dots here.
That's a crew, man. Love Benji, man. Yeah, I think he just got sponsored by that Fresh Society place, man. So got all the Supreme stuff.
Dude, he wears the craziest outfits. It's dude,
he has the swag thing on.
You know what, man? I just got to check with him before I go shopping. I'm just going to check with him from now on.
Yeah, he knows, man. He's got it all figured out. So the guy that runs Want vs. Need is Aligura. So his whole office, he has, it's all decked out with Supreme this and all the different cool kids streetwear. And I know some of it, but I just know kind of because of them. I'm like, all right, cool. They keep me outfitted real good, but I'll watch their Instagram and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm totally out of that world.
I gotta Google it.
Exactly.
Yeah, man, it's definitely this whole area is crazy in terms of the density of good places to train.
Oh, definitely.
I'd say LA is more densely populated with everything, but I say per square mile, this is on par with, if not kind of a little bit ahead of San Diego, I'd say.
Dude, SoCal's got a huge jiu-jitsu scene, but I think Northern California doesn't always get all the credit it deserves, because there is some absolute savages and crazy gyms out here that, there's a lot of talent here in the Bay.
it comes down to like history and sort of just the development of the sport and just sort of, where a lot of the champions came from, like dating back to, Frank Shamrock and all that. And then even, BJ Penn.
Look at Strikeforce, man. Like if you look at the current UFC roster and look at how many of the badass dudes in there were Strikeforce guys, a good majority of it. And
yeah. It's pretty crazy. That whole thing was based out of San Jose, the SAP Center, depending on, when you were watching it, it was the Shark Tank or whatever. But, but just dating back to, BJ Penn, you had Frank Shamrock, you had Diaz brothers, you can go as far up to the Alpha Male guys in, Sacramento all the way down to San Jose and, Gilroy, DC and everything.
I mean, when you look at not just jiu-jitsu, but if you look at it from an MMA perspective, how much Northern California has dominated the MMA world? It's like, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny, like region by region, you'll have like, different kind of weight divisions and stuff. So, the alpha male guys, you have sort of the 135 through 155. Those guys are just monsters up in that sort of neck of the woods. Then you come down to, San Francisco. You had San Francisco, San Jose. You had some of the best welterweights and middleweights ever.
Definitely.
I mean, AKA had, the 5 of the top 10 welterweights throughout the whole 2000s, right?
I mean, AKA right now, I think you guys are holding with two championship belts right now in the UFC.
I don't know if it's
or
3.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
3.
yeah. No, it's definitely, yeah.
Well, I don't know because I heard they wanted DC to relinquish it so they could put it up as
Isn't Kane coming back? Is that what the?
I don't know. I don't know.
Just for hearsay.
I'd love to see him back. But you've got other guys on the up and coming as well. Justin Willis just took out Mark Hunt. Yeah,
that's no joke.
No, Justin's no joke either. He's when you look at him from a distance, you don't see him fight. You don't know what to expect. But then like you get in there with him and you start rolling around. You're like, wow, this guy can move. He's got some power to him. He's a bigger dude.
The heavyweight division has definitely changed. It used to be you just gotta, heavy hitters is pretty much what it used to be. But now you're starting to see like the heavyweights being able to move. You're seeing some more movement and stuff the way you would see the smaller weight classes doing. Yeah,
it's refreshing. I mean, look at boxing, man. Tyson Fury.
Oh.
Did you watch the Wilder Fury?
Yeah, I love that fight, man. I got really hyped on that one.
I don't watch a whole lot of TV, I'll be honest. There's so much MMA on. There's so much of everything on TV. But I was glued to my screen for the Wilder.
The story leading up to it was amazing. Obviously everyone heard it through Joe's podcast. And man, like I didn't know that much about him before building into it. And then that you just fall in love with the guy when you hear his story. You're like, man, this guy's so cool. You just connect with him immediately. And then you watch the fight. And that was just out of a movie. That fight could have been that probably will be a movie at some point.
Here's the thing: if you watch that fight, if you watch some of the promos leading up to it, then you watch the fight itself. You watched you watched Cinderella Man. You watched a Rocky movie, and you're not going to be able to. You're gonna get an Academy Award out of a movie just showing that 12th round.
Yeah,
just a 5-minute clip.
That drop.
He was done. He was starched. And so Deontay Wilder, the Bronze Bomber, right? So you know where that comes from, the name?
It was in Olympics?
Yeah.
He was in Olympics, right?
Yeah, he got the bronze medal, and he throws like these crazy Wanderlei Silva drunken like hooks at you. But he's actually a pretty technical boxer. But I mean, what people know him for is the wild punches. And at the time when he did get the bronze in the Olympics, the Americans just were not placing it, especially in heavyweight boxing. And so him getting the bronze was kind of like a gold for America.
Yeah.
Especially at the time. But yeah, man, Tyson Fury, just when you see how graceful he is for a 6'9" guy that weighed 400 pounds a year ago.
He can move, man. He's really herky jerky too. It's kind of it's a weird style to watch. Yeah. And but it's just, I think that's kind of where he gets people, is because it's like it's harder to predict, it's harder to read,
And you listen to him speak, and you listen to his promos, you listen to his interviews, you listen to how he.
I wish I could talk like that guy, man. He can talk.
Well, who else wishes he could is Conor McGregor, man.
Those two guys have to be the top of the shit talking list.
Well, I mean, just look look how he what he does during the press conferences, the antics, what he says, just when he was going against Klitschko, just what he was able to say, and they did the press world tour, and then you look at what Conor McGregor was able to do with Jose Aldo, and what he was able to do, in terms of creating hype with Khabib as well. Not as much, but when
he just gets in their head. He gets in their head. And that's the thing. That's the thing you don't see. That was the thing is like when you look at Conor's hardest matches is with Nate and it was with Khabib, right? That's it. And you have two guys that you just can't get into their head. Like you're not going to get in Nate's head. Like if you think you're going to talk shit to him and you're going to get him riled up or anything like that, it's not going to happen. Like that guy's just going to look at you and be like, well, fuck you too, bro. Yeah. And Khabib, he's just like, he just takes it all in and lets it all out at the end.
Yeah, they're unapologetically themselves, man. Nate Diaz, he's himself.
Bless him for it, man. I'm happy they are being themselves, they're staying true.
Yeah, and you're not going to shake him. Like the guy's gone through it. He's a professional fighter and he's not new. It's not like he just started doing this. He just got here. It's like you're not going to tell him anything he hasn't already heard in Stockton.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean that's the truth,
Some guy comes over in a 3-piece or whatever suit, and he's trying to talk shit to him. He's like, you don't think he's heard worse? Just
Nate really blew up after that fight, but he's been killing it in this game forever. Like when we talked about Strikeforce and everything way back in the day, man. Everybody from NorCal knows they've been killing it. Those are like the top dogs at the food chain out here, and. Yeah, I'm glad he got his credit he deserved, and I'm glad he's finally getting paid because, that was the thing with MMA is the Diaz brothers for the longest time, I think were like misread by people in the sense they were like, they didn't understand them, but really they were trying to get fighters treated fairly. They wanted people to get paid and they wanted to get treated fairly. That was it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty big injustice just how Nick was sort of. Is he still suspended indefinitely with the cannabis thing or no?
I have no idea.
Because that was he wasn't even allowed to come in for one of Nate's fights. He wasn't allowed in the building at one point. I thought.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that. That's
and
it was for weed, right?
It was weed. Yeah. And you look at all the stuff, the tainted supplements you hear about, and everybody, tainted supplements, this, that, and the other. It's like he's never failed a test.
Those guys aren't on anything. Those guys are clean as a whistle, unless you're testing for weed,
Yeah,
it's like they're not. It's not like they're hiding it, man. They're pretty out in the open with it. You see Nate with his pen there after the fight. You know what I mean? Like,
and now you have Dr. Oz and stuff. They're like it's actually turning into this whole CBD craze where it's this trendy thing now. It's like the new acai bowl.
Yeah,
and then
well, that's the thing is because the non-psychoactive, the cannabinoids non-psychoactive. They can advertise that to all the soccer moms. This doesn't get you high. And it's interesting because it's good for you. But the funny thing is THC is still a really powerful anti-inflammatory. And it's like, wow, if you mix the two, you're getting even more of the medicine than you would be with you just taking and removing it to the CBD itself.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it actually is going to wind up being legalized or, what it's going to look like in 10 years, because you're seeing a lot of just like kind of paradigm shifts, but I don't think it's going to. I think it'll go as far as it's going, but I feel like it's like one step forward, 2 steps back every time. So
I don't know, man. I think the momentum, I think the ball's going with it. I think it's just a matter of time. Like, I think it's like the other states that haven't done it already, I don't think they really can deny it anymore.
You know what? The only one thing I can just see just coming out of nowhere is Trump just trolling everybody and being the guy to legalize it.
Oh yeah, that'd be.
he would do it just to be annoying to like all the guys who did. Because think of everyone who didn't vote for him that's pushing for the legalization.
Yeah,
and then he's like, nah, and he for financial reasons, he's a businessman.
Yeah,
right. Like I can totally see him doing that. Just he's that personality, or he would do it as just an fu to people that didn't vote for him. Because all of a sudden he would be.
Dude, I hope he does. I'd be happy if he did it. You know what I mean?
Because there's supposed to be some reform thing going through. At some point soon, they're supposed to be talking about it again, but I could just imagine he is the one just to troll everyone.
Just as a troll? Yeah, I don't know, man.
What does he care?
Dude, I mean, I don't really care who does it, but I think it just needs to happen. That would be I think it's going to happen. I think it is going to happen. I think it's just a matter of time. I think the ball's already rolled. Majority of the states are already either going through medical or recreational at this point. And, it's crazy to think about because it wasn't too long ago of how taboo it was. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you really think about like the lengths that people would go to get weed is just, but it's good now because now you got all this stuff that they're making it like professional. You're knowing what you're getting, you're knowing the effects of it, you're knowing they're getting it all written out on these labels of like you're getting X amount of grams of this, X amount of grams of that, and I don't even really smoke weed so I use the CBD creams, I love the CBD creams as a jiu-jitsu athlete, that's definitely a huge part of my recovery, just rubbing those bombs in, but I don't really even smoke weed, so I'm just happy for everybody else because it's a common sense thing. It's a no-brainer. It's like the fact that this has been, out for so long, it's been illegal for so long. It's just, come on, man, it's enough. Let's do it.
Yeah, just prohibition doesn't work in general. And the part that I see as a double standard right now is they're saying, there's an opiate crisis or an opioid crisis, however you say it, in the United States, and fentanyl and all these people are dying, and you have there's been news reports and stuff with cartels basically coming up with these they look like the regular pills, like the Vicodins and the Percocets and stuff. They look just like them, but they're actually fentanyl and made made in people's like garages and stuff. So and you don't know what the strength is from one to the next, and it's really dangerous. Fentanyl's crazy. Like, people die on that crap all the time. So when government's coming out, you have Trump on TV saying that there's an opioid or opiate crisis. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. But then all of a sudden, the next thing I see, like 2 weeks later, that they released a new type of painkiller that's 10 times stronger than fentanyl for like FDA releases it. Like, here you go. It's another thing in the wild. Like,
I tried not to take any kind of pain pills, man.
It's all bad for you. It's so bad for you.
As natural as possible. That's why I really like the CBD oil in that sense, is like, being able to use it as a balm. But I've also used the oil drops you put on your tongue, right?
Yeah.
Those ones work pretty good. But I actually got the best success with, there were these, I think they were like called Pro Tab or something like that, these little tablets, right? And they kind of look like a chalky flavor, but you put them under your tongue and you just sit it there for like 20, 25 minutes. And these ones were 25 milligrams of CBD, which was the highest I could find anywhere. But that was where I found the most success with like my achiness. And the nice thing about that is, I used to use, like when I first started jiu-jitsu, like you'd see memes even at like ice pack, tape, like, finger tape and ibuprofen. Oh, yeah. And I was definitely one of the people who fucked up, and I used ibuprofen, and it really messed my stomach up really bad.
It does.
That's the part that people don't realize, is these pills that you're taking, what is the long-term effect of it? Right. So the short-term effect is that it's anti-inflammatory. It helps with the pain. Maybe it's like an instant relief. But what is the long-term effect of these things? And that's why ulcers. I think CBD, you got to stick with something natural, man. Natural is the key.
So the stuff I've used, the guys at Revivid, they have there's like Revivid Sport. So it's actually supposed to be USADA legal. So 50 state, you're supposed to be able to go and test Olympic like level testing. You're supposed to be good afterwards.
Passes USADA and all that.
Yeah, that's what it says on there. I've never felt high or anything from it. Just, my neck or my back will hurt less, right? I'll feel like less achy, and like kind of relax me a little bit. And I think it was 1,000 milligrams. It's like a dropper. So however many is in like a whole dropper thing of that. Like I've, a bunch of people, friends and family that all take that or similar, and it's done pretty good. Right. It's not, none of the quality stuff is cheap, right?
Yeah, it's definitely expensive, but you pay for what you get for, man.
Yeah. It's just, I see a lot of stuff out there I worry about potency, and I just worry, like, you go to some of the like smoke shops and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, we have CBD," and you're like, "But do you?" Because you can't really tell.
I don't. That's the other thing is like with the craze of it now, you get a lot of these people that are just trying to cash a quick buck on it. Throw CBD name on the label because it's become accepted in society. And I try to stick to going to the dispensaries. I'm blessed enough to live here in California. Here in San Francisco and Oakland, we have some amazing dispensaries. You just go in there and you're talking to people who they deal with the people who grow it and make it them like on a regular basis. Like they know what they're talking about.
That's key. And there's a craze of just dispensaries and stuff like that, just like all over the place. And you go in and there's a line around, wraps around the damn block. Like people are pretty excited to have it. I'm in Las Vegas, or in the Las Vegas area a lot with family and stuff. Some family lives like right out in that area, and I went through one of the dispensaries out there, and it was crazy how busy this thing was, because they have them like right by the strip, and there's this big waiting room, and it's a whole thing. But there's like huge dispensaries all over Las Vegas now. So you'll see big billboards all over the place now. 420 this, or because they have recreational there too. It's crazy to see how it's blown up, and it's it's cool. I wonder how it's going to affect liquor sales and stuff. I wonder if that's going to have any bearing on it.
Maybe I look at it a little bit differently. For me, one is kind of like a category of like either you have a beer to relax, or you're going out, you're drinking, and that's the majority of it. People are looking to just stop the stress of thinking, and they're just gonna fuck off and do something stupid. And the reality is, no good thing ever comes from drinking too much. I think weed is like a totally different thing, where it's just like more of people just like, I'm gonna sit at home, I'm gonna binge watch like 10 episodes or like 2 seasons of Netflix, and then I'm gonna fall asleep and order, Chinese food or something like that.
That's pretty much the prescription right there. That's what you're doing.
I just think it's 2 different demographics of people. I don't know if liquor sales are really gonna be affected by that.
I'm wondering. I mean,
unless there's like a cultural shift in people, right? So if there's
that's what I mean. Like,
yeah,
all of a sudden when it's like, oh, there's another way. Like you're working all week, you're dealing with whatever with the boss, whatever at home, and people get frustrated and they want to blow off some steam, and it's like, well, going out and partying is one thing, but if they could just as well go to the corner store, and get whatever they're getting, like some edible whatever, but they're not going out to the club on that. They're gonna go home and eat Chinese food and watch Planet Earth or something.
Isn't that the truth? But I'm happy for the rest of it. For me as a jiu-jitsu guy, it really helps me on the recovery, and I'm happy for it in that aspect, and I'm happy for everyone else that's been waiting so long for it to be legalized.
I was over at Robert Drysdale's place a couple weeks ago, and I saw like black belt CBD stuff everywhere. Like,
I've been seeing that. Yuri rocks that stuff.
That's right. They popped up on my Instagram feed the other day, and I'm like, oh, those guys. That's cool. It's you can tell an industry is growing when it like trickles over into another pretty niche industry. Like, jiu-jitsu is pretty specific.
It's very specific. Next thing you know, you're gonna have like CrossFit CBD, and you're gonna have.
I bet there's 5 of them. I bet there's 5.
I just don't know about it yet.
Yeah. I wouldn't know where to look, but I'm sure somebody's targeted marketing thing. How ads know you, like everything about you. I'm sure if you get into CrossFit enough and you start, getting more CrossFit friends on your Insta, Facebook, whatever, there'll be a CrossFit CBD thing popping up.
Hey, it's good, man. It's good. I'm all about the recovery. I think that's something that nowadays people are starting to finally realize the importance of it. Is like, and I know a lot of the people out there listening know, man, if you do jiu-jitsu, your body, everyone's got their aches. Everyone's got their aches and sore spots, and if you can do things like the cold treatment, like a lot of people are doing the cryo and whatnot.
I really like
Wim
cryo.
Hof. I really like that. I suck with the whole cold water thing. I'm a total baby with it, but I force myself to do it. Like I do the cold shower. We were talking about massage, man. Massage, that was a game changer for me. Getting massaged out, all the aches and pains. I think in America here, a lot of people aren't really too keyed up to the idea. But if you can get over the weirdness, if it's weird for you, if you can get over that and just give it a try, massage is absolutely been huge. I go at least twice a month and I get worked on. And here's the thing. If it feels good when you're getting it done, you're doing it wrong. it's supposed to be painful. If it's not hurting when you're getting your massage, you're not doing it right.
Oh yeah, like the sports massage or like a really good Thai massage where they stretch the crap out of you. Like, it's not supposed to feel good. I mean, like you do afterwards, but you're gonna sweat a little bit.
Yeah, man, dude. There's my guy Albert. He works on me a lot of times. He like when I have injuries, he's definitely my focus for injuries. And there was a point told me, all right, this is the part where it's gonna hurt. And I was like, what? And then I was like, oh man, I wanted to tap out, man. Like I had a shoulder injury that he was repairing, and like he was digging in with his elbow, and I was just like, I wish I could have tapped, man. I would have tapped to that. But I felt like $1 million afterwards. The guy's a miracle worker, you know?
Oh man, I had to go and get an epidural about a month ago. Ooh. Yeah, so I was in a car accident a couple of years ago, man. So I never screwed my neck up doing jiu-jitsu. So I'm freaking out. Like I was always been very fortunate. Like my neck was always okay. Limbs, fingers, knees, elbows, the rest of everything. But my neck was pretty much all right. And I get, stupid car accident. So we're trying different stuff, trying PT. Okay, tried PT. And I'm like, dude, it's killing me all this. My neck was just always hurting. I have to sleep like I'm in a coffin, man, just like flat on my back. Like, come on, this. So they're finally like, all right, well, at least try because what they wanted to do was burn off the nerve ending between like my C5 and C6.
Jesus.
And that sounded like a horrible idea. I'm like, you're trying to modify my body so I don't feel the pain, so the message doesn't get to my brain to, hey, protect this thing, swell it up and make it hurt. Like, let this person know pain should be here. Like, there's a reason pain's there. It's a message, right?
Yeah, it's a message. Something's wrong. So you're covering up the message, but whatever's going wrong is still wrong.
Yeah, they just wanted to go in and do like this, like an ablation. They want to burn off the nerve ending.
I get the heebie-jeebies just thinking about
right?
that.
So I said, well, okay, what we can do is try an epidural injection. So if you know or you have delivered a child, epidurals, they usually give it like in the lumbar, like lower back, and it's supposed to like make it.
Oh, I hate needles, man.
Hurt way less.
I hate needles to begin with. I can't like
needles. This thing was a sword, man.
Dude, that's
so. I got there. So I came back from taking my mom to some doctor's appointments and stuff down in Nevada. I've been back and forth like helping out with family like for months now. So I literally drive back here. So 600 miles. I get maybe a couple hours sleep and I go to the doctor. It's like Los Gatos. Los Gatos isn't like a cheap place to be. So when I get there, the lady's like, the front desk person said, you're paying cash, right? I'm looking at her. I'm like, I'm paying for, this is a surgical procedure in Los Gatos, California. Looking at my clothes, I'm like, I assure you, I am most certainly not paying cash. Like of course, why? Well, no. She's like, oh yeah, okay, it's insurance. Oh, cool, you have insurance. That's better. Yeah, well, we thought you were paying cash, so we didn't bother booking the anesthesiologist. We thought it would have been, we're trying to save you a couple bucks. And I'm like, what? So that it was this whole mess up, like. So they said, well, either you could do it now, like go through it. This is a surgical procedure. Like they wheel you on in the hospital bed into the OR room and they have you go face down. You're supposed to be unconscious. Dude,
the hairs on the back of my neck are up.
I was so mad that it was this disorganized, and I just drove like really far and like driving 9-10 hours with a messed up neck. You don't exactly, you know what I mean? Like you're not thinking, hey, let's just go have a big sword needle thing in my neck. So I was so like frustrated. I didn't want to just schedule, because if it was going to be 3 or 4 weeks before we could do it again, I'm like, just do it.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you should be okay. Just don't move. I'm like,
should be.
Just don't move. I'm like, you think? So it's basically this big syringe needle thing going between the disc, in your middle of the neck. And I guess they were like, they put fluid in it. There's an x-ray thing going. And, it was just the creepiest thing because it made all this sound like going.
Oh, Jesus.
Breaking through.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's right.
Oh, dude. That's.
I'm going to be very honest. It hurt a lot. However, I refused. I was so like annoyed and prideful that I refused to like even like clench my fist. I didn't want to show like any pain reaction because I didn't want to be like, oh, this big guy. He's such a baby with it. So I wouldn't.
So you felt the whole thing.
wide awake.
Oh God.
And you could hear the sounds of the needle. Cause like, you know, when you pop your neck, you like crack your neck, you like your mouth becomes kind of a speaker for it. It like the sound resonates.
Fuck all of that, man.
It was
all of that.
It was terrible.
I'd have came back to like 2 weeks later. Fuck it. I'll come back 4 months later. That's
I was just so frustrated. I left literally my family who had, you know, the whole health thing, and I'm trying to be out there. I'm like, I left that for my own thing, and I get there and nothing happens. I'm like, no, get the needle, whatever it is, you're doing it. Like I just drove a long way to be here. Like you're.
How did you feel with the results?
I got relief, and I want to say about just under 3 weeks worth.
Okay.
And then you were kind of back where you started. I'm pretty sure you have to, like, what I thought was you do one, and then you do some PT. You work on trying to elongate to like get the disc, because what happens? You have two spinal cervical discs like smashed on top of a nerve ending, and I think like trying to work that gradually apart as you use the epidural as a way to take the inflammation down, like because it's very irritated. Yeah. So I think that's a good way to take. It's not like a long-term fix. I think the longer-term fix is somehow getting the discs apart. I don't know. I've been to enough doctors over it. They don't seem to have a very good idea what they're supposed to do. Like that, they just tried this and it wasn't. It was the thing that wasn't surgery. So neck, back. There's so many guys that get put out from neck, back, and knees. Neck, back, knees. What else are we gonna put? The shoulders. Those are the 4. Yeah.
Neck, back, knees, and shoulders, man. But neck, I even got a couple guys from my gym, you know, that I'm like, want to get them back in the gym. They've been out for a while. You know, like one of my guys, Kevin, he's one of our brown belts. Dude, he's been out for a while, and I know he's trying a bunch of stuff. And, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that are getting injured with their neck. And it's like, how do you get it better? Right? That's a weird one to get better, you know?
You know, what I've been trying to push for the whole time now, and I think I found an option for it, is the stem cell therapy.
That's huge.
I think that might be it. And I
mean, that's answering the problem with knees and shoulders, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, I know a lot of guys, a lot of professionals that have gotten stem cells in their shoulders or in their elbow and random different stuff, and they're like, feels like new. Yeah.
I've spoken to 2 doctors already. I'll lay it out there. It's not cheap.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know the price range on that one.
Like a new Honda Accord, probably.
Ooh.
Something like that. And I'm not trying to, you know, I think that's actually pretty close to what it is, because each of the types of injection, like I think there's one where it's a very concentrated version. There's an intravenous, there's like an IV version of it. There's the one that you put like right site specific, like you know, intramuscular, I guess you'd call it.
And now there's like 2 different types of stem cell, right? Like there's the kind that you get here in the US, and then there's like the kind you get in Panama or whatnot.
So the Mel Gibson's father one, that's the one from, I guess, Panama or wherever it was.
That trips me out, man. I don't know about going. I know like a lot of guys. I got homies that go like to Mexico, get their teeth done, and they're like, yeah, man, you know, I got my teeth fixed and everything. I saved like, you know, a bunch of money doing that. I'm like, I don't even know. Just going to a different country in general, like, dude. I'm German, okay? I went to the hospital in Germany, and that's amazing. And I still felt weird over there. It's like a weird thing that it's just, you grow up in American hospitals and you want to stick with it, you know?
There's something about them where you feel a little, like just the procedures, the cleanliness. I went to a public hospital in Brazil a few years ago. I got food poisoning down there.
Oh, man. Did you do it from the water? I had the same thing with water.
I think so. I was 25 pounds lighter.
Oh man.
I mean, it got me. So it was this time of year too. It was the whole Christmas to New Year's, that whole thing from the tree to the ball dropping, that whole deal. Every single thing I drank or ate, it went directly through me. I had no energy at all. Like I would get up, like wake up, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to go over here and get a glass of water. And I'd like see it. I'd think about it so much. And it was like, oh, that was fun. Now I'm tired because I thought about getting up and I got tired just doing that. It's crazy, man. Food poisoning is terrible, but I finally went to the hospital there. I really don't want to go. finally went and they had me on IVs. I gotta show you the picture of this thing. Maybe I'll make it the thumbnail or something for this thing. It was terrible. Like it was raining so hard, the power went off, and all these like Windows 95
while you were in the hospital.
Yeah, so they couldn't check anyone in. They couldn't do anything. They just stopped doing everything. I was in there. It was like concrete floors. There was like no glass in the window holes. I'm like in a plastic school, like, you know, the school desk where there's like the desk attached to it.
I've seen too many horror movies, man. I've seen too many scary movies to this.
So I'm on the IV and it's, you know, they're, I guess, giving me antibiotics and saline and whatever else. And just, I felt better after the IV, but that was, it kicked my butt. Like I was already used to being down there. I'd been there probably a month already and many, you know, 1 month or longer trips previously. Like,
yeah.
And it something I ate or drank just got me. And
so for me, when I was in Sao Paulo, it was the ice. I knew not to drink the water, right? So if you're listening and you plan on going to Brazil, if you're from America, your body is not meant for the water. Like you can't digest it. Your body gets sick, you know?
It's different flora, man. It's just, you're not used to
I don't even know what's in the water, but it's something different that if you're from there, you can drink it. But if you're not from there, it just fucks you up. And so I knew that going into it. You know, I have a lot of Brazilian friends that warned me ahead of time. They're like, hey, Mike, you know, make sure you don't drink the water. You're not going to react too well to it. But what I didn't think about was the ice. And we went down there for ADCC after the tournament. We're all celebrating, you know, and like, of course, we're drinking the caipirinhas, you know, and they got ice in it. And that was where I messed up. And luckily it was my last day, but that plane ride back was horrible. And the fucked up part about it is like we had some of the worst turbulence ever. Yeah. And like, I'm telling you, like, you know, like if you sit in the back of the school bus as a kid and you hit the speed bump and like your butt rises up off the seat. That was like how the plane ride was with turbulence, man. Like it was, I don't know how we flew through that, but it was intense.
Yeah, some of the regional airplanes in Brazil, man, they'll go to land the plane, and here we're used to pretty smooth landings, but there it's almost like they'll just drop it from like 10 feet in the air. Like, they don't care. And you look around, no one's surprised, no one's scared, nothing. They're like, they've been through this.
You know, that's funny you say that because I was looking around in the plane, and you know, and like everybody else, I think most of the people on the plane were from Brazil, so they're probably going back home or whatnot. And I was like, of course, visiting, and I was like, what on earth? Like, I just had this, I was looking around like, why is no one else surprised right now?
Oh yeah. I can't be surprised by flights anymore. I remember going from London to Portugal one time, and I was certain that the pilot just decided, no, I'm not going to just land the plane normal. I'm just going to drop the thing from like several stories in the air. It bounced multiple times, skidded a little bit, and no one seemed bothered by it. And I'm looking around like sweating, like, this, are we okay? Are we all right? Well, and that's the chairs that we're in were almost like like the plastic waiting room chairs if you're like at the courthouse or something.
Oh, Jesus.
It was like those with seat belts, like so uncomfortable, like
Oh, I can't do plane rides in general. I get the worst freaking plane rides. I'm always getting a middle seat somehow, even though I'll request it. You know, I'm 6'1", man. Like,
can't do it.
My knees hit on it. I got blessed actually for the last time I went to Romania. They said the plane was completely booked, right? And they said that I had the middle seat, and I was really irritated about it. You know, I was cutting weight, and I was getting ready to compete, trying to get in a good mindset, trying to be relaxed and whatnot. And I'm like, fuck, I'm going to sit in the middle seat again. And the two people on the left and the right of me no-showed on the flight. So I got to completely extend it out and just like sleep like a damn bed, man. And it was great.
Oh, it's perfect. Karma got me once. Maybe not karma, but I had a middle seat assignment one time, and I'm like, hey, you know, I can't do this. I'm very sorry, but like, if this is it, like, I'm just gonna have to. I can't. Like, I can't. I don't do the middle seat. I don't do the window. I'm neurotic about just having the ability to get up.
You're a big guy too, man. I mean, like those seats, like I feel like they completely do that just to upsell first class, because first class is so expensive that nobody wants to buy that, right? So like their mindset is like, let's make this as miserable as possible. Like let's test the human limit on how uncomfortable we can make people. That way we can at least sell them. Because otherwise, if they made them like remotely comfortable, there would be 0 first class seats. No one would buy first class. Like if it was remotely comfortable, you could extend your legs out, maybe put it back a little bit, just like a normal couch or whatnot. I'm convinced nobody would buy first class.
I think what they did with all the planes is they moved every single seat 2 inches closer together and then called something that was the normal seat Economy Plus and charge you like 30% more for it. And people upgrade.
I mean, it makes sense for spacing. So like if you think about it, you're like, okay, hey, if you could take 2 inches per seat, right? And you just go for the first 12 seats, man, you just made up 24 inches. That's another seat they're going to put in there,
And then they call on the front, they call it Economy Plus. There's a few rows of that, and they charge way more for it.
Those used to just be the
seat.
That was just the seat.
That was just
there was
seat.
no.
That's why they look older. It was just the old seat. It was just the previous seat. Now they put the smaller ones and pack people closer together. And yeah, exactly. If you're more miserable, you're going to spend more money and feeling like you won something.
Right.
The best travel tip I can give is that TSA pre.
Dude, I have yet to get on that. I just did that. You know what the thing is? I did that clear thing. And that was the funny thing is I was going to LA. I was going to go visit Eddie at HQ down there. And I had like a series of unfortunate events to get to the airport. It was just one of those things where just everything went wrong. Right. And I said, fuck it. I was like, man, I got the day off of work. I'm going to go train. I'm in a good mood. Nothing can bother me. But it was just a series of unfortunate events. I had a great trip down there. And then as I get to the thing, I finally get to the airport, had a bunch of things where I was running super late and I was pretty convinced I was going to miss my flight. And then they're like, oh, hey, would you want to try this clear thing? So luckily it served its purpose. I got in there, but they want like $150 a year. Yeah. And apparently a TSA pre is like $75 or something like that for 5 years or something.
So clear is cool.
I canceled it. Yeah, sorry, Clear.
You can skip the line up to where they check you in.
Yeah,
but then you got to go. You could have both and use them together. But really, it doesn't. Clear, I thought was the coolest thing in the world until I was in Newark Airport coming back from New York.
Oh, that airport's so packed.
They don't have clear. So it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's the thing. They're not in all the airports.
Exactly. Okay, but TSA pre is in all the airports. So what happens is
they're on all the international ones too?
There's this other thing. There's TSA pre, but there's it's a thing called something about re-entry, global entry program.
Okay.
Where they already know who you are. And so when you come back in the country, you don't have to be messed with by
customs. As long as you're in the TSA pre setup, or do you have to do that as a second thing?
I think it's like a little add-on to it. It's like the global entry or something program. But all they do is you sign up for it, whatever, on the website. Then they have you go to like an office. Like they have a bunch of private ones, like just all over San Francisco. They're everywhere. And they basically fingerprint you and take your picture. And then they give you it's a known traveler number.
I probably fail it, man, to be honest with you. My background check might not pass or whatnot. I had a thing. It was really silly, man. I'm always running late to flights, but I was flying. Where was I flying to? I think I was flying to Hawaii. Yeah, I was flying to Hawaii. And so my backpack that I use for travel is also my range bag, my hunting bag, my fishing bag.
Yeah,
it is my
extra casing in there, huh?
It is my everything bag, right? And so I was getting off of work really late, and I was just running straight after work. Had 30 minutes to pack, shower, get ready, and get to the airport, right, and drive out. And so I thought I emptied it out, thought I cleared the whole bag. Turns out when I get through TSA and they pull me into the back room on the side, I realized I hadn't, and I had this huge K-bar sitting in it has like those little side pockets, like a hidden side pocket that I forgot about. And so I had that one in there, and then there's like a skinning knife in there, and there was like 3 knives in there. And and then they're sitting there interrogating me in there and whatnot and trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm like, dude, I don't know how to explain it to you, but this is a legit mistake. I don't think anybody in their right mind thinks a huge K-bar is going to get through TSA. But they were really nice. I ended up they escorted me out of the airport, right? And then they let me come back into the airport, but I have to go and take my backpack and just pay the check-in bag fee.
Yep.
And so I just checked in the bag, and it turns out that it's actually a common thing. They say it happens every day, all the time. They're literally multiple times a day. We get guys that forget a knife in a random pocket or something like that. It's not that big of a deal. I'm like, well, you guys could have told me that in the beginning, because I was sweating, man. I thought I was like going straight to Guantanamo or something like that. No. I was like, oh, I'm fucked, man.
I've come close to forgetting to check stuff. So when I fly back and forth, like I usually check my firearm at the counter. You have to fill out the little form and do the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's fine, but there's been a couple times where like I almost didn't. It was like, oh, like I was like getting in line, like, oh, I'm gonna get on my plane on to be on time, and I'm like, shit, I gotta go check my bag. Like, why do you have to check your bag? I'm like, because you can't bring a Glock 19 on the plane. So,
oh man, good taste. I have the same one, a Glock 19. It was
a third gen.
Yeah, I have the exact same one. That is my gun of choice right there. I was gonna go with the. It was actually interesting. The day I bought that one, I was gonna buy a 1911. Love that. If you're into guns, it is one of the sexiest guns in the world, and it's proven, right? It's got a proven track record.
107 years of it, right?
Yeah. And so when I went there to the range that day, they have rentals there, and then they rented out the Glock, and I went and I just looked at my shot pattern on it and I compared it to the 1911, and it was a drastic difference for myself. And that doesn't mean that the gun's any worse of a gun. It just means that's how it partnered up with me. And then I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm a Glock guy now.
Yeah, I like them. They're reliable. Parts are sold out a lot, but they're everywhere. And everyone makes something for them. It's just
all the little customizations and whatnot.
It's crazy. There's all kinds of different stuff. I've saw like the extenders for them, so you can fit like the full size magazines and the regular size, the 19. Like you can fit like the 17 or whatever in there.
Yeah. I've seen all that. And you know what I actually want to get done is they got that texturing thing. My buddy Ruben down in Florida, you know.
Oh, the stippling.
He had that on his gun. He had a thing he was showing on his Instagram, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
I'll show you mine. My buddy actually, he has it's a grip, so you don't actually have to stipple it. It literally is like a vinyl adhesive thing. It's just it's a wraparound. Like
I think they do with like a hot gun or something like that.
Yeah,
like he's got a guy down there that does it. Yeah, but this was like a cool, like it looked like a brick like pattern kind of thing. It was pretty cool.
There's I think I was following these guys called Salient Arms on Instagram. And they make the sexiest looking Glock, like custom everything with the barrels all nice and just insane. Like they do a lot of like really, because you look at it, you're like, okay, a Glock's gonna cost probably like $800 out the door, and these things are like $3-4 grand or something.
You know, I like looking at them. They're fun to look at. I'll hit the like button on the Instagram, but I don't know if I'm going to do it myself. To me, it's kind of like back at like the Fast and the Furious days.
I couldn't spend that kind of money. They're already expensive.
Everyone had the Mitsubishi Eclipse with the green wrap and the big wing on it. You know what I mean? Everyone had the 12-inch subs in the back. I'm not going to lie. I had the speakers back.
Did you have the PlayStation in your car, though?
No. I didn't have that kind of money. I had the homemade 12-inch speaker box in the back, and man, living in the Central Valley, man, if you didn't have subs in your car, you weren't doing it right.
I actually have the box. It's not in my car anymore. It's in my garage. It was like, 2 JLW3s or something. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they don't work anymore, but...
Well, you know what's funny is I loved it back then, right? So I loved it. I didn't even care. I didn't even have a trunk because of the speakers. And, you're 16 years old, and you think it's the coolest thing in the world. And now I look back on it, like I was in a car like a couple months back and the guy had huge subs in it. And I was like, oh man, I must be an old man at this point because this ain't doing it for me.
Yeah, I can't do the subs anymore. And I just actually bought new tires because the old ones were wearing out, but
I'm assuming that car outside, that one's yours, that you go through tires quite quickly there.
Well, it's like I actually drive it, like I barely get the turbo to spool up or anything because I drive it pretty conservative now. I'm just trying to get from point A to point B. The all-wheel drive's nice. Being able to have passing power whenever is nice, but
make a trip up to the snow with it and whatnot.
See, that's the thing though. You need totally different wheels and tires for that thing because the ones that are on there now are like
they just spin.
It's like having 4 snowboards on there. So like 18 by 9.5 or 18 by 10 inch. It's like it's 4 snowboards. It's the all-wheel drive would be great, but you want like almost like a rally tire, like a nice skinny wheel or something.
Yeah.
With there's like Nokian or whatever. There's like certain snow tires you put on it, but yeah, the car's cool, but the tires are so loud. And then the turbo's super loud. The road noises because it's an Evo, so you're paying for the all-wheel drive, like the drivetrain, like the driving experience. But like it doesn't exactly have the build quality. Like, it's loud. You hear everything. You feel every like rock in the road or whatever. It's got like the full suspension on it. And I just like, the car was fun then, but I got old. So like I kind of like, I'm trying to like get something quiet and like just, you know, I want the all-wheel drive, like being able to pass safely and all this stuff is nice and it has power. It's fun, but it's really loud and not refined at all. And like I kind of just want to be old at like one thing.
So it's funny, man. So like growing up, when I have an older brother, and he got the cool car. You know, he was big into imports. He was big into tuning it, and he put all his money into that.
Oh wow!
Now I was always into motorcycles. Like I raced on a lot of motorcycles. And then when I turned 15, I got my motorcycle permit. Right,
Nice.
So I had a street bike at an R6, and that was that. And then eventually I got a car. When I finally got a car, I fucked up, and then I only could get was a Ford Taurus. That was the car that I had. So I didn't get a chance to get the whole nice, fast, fun car. And I just looked like an old school cop car pulling up on people and whatnot. I'd be mobbing in that thing though. That thing's really comfortable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that thing, it drives like a boat, and it's I understand why older people want to drive that.
I remember back in the day, we all wanted the show Taurus, the SHO one. It had like the police interceptor motor in it.
It's like the 90% of all the cars in Florida, man.
Oh, the show Taurus? It's funny.
You got Crown Vics and Ford Tauruses down there.
Oh, that's right. It's like all the retired police cars. Yeah, that's funny too. Like I'll be doing absolutely nothing wrong when I'm driving. I'll still see the silhouette of like a Taurus or a Crown Vic or something. I'm like checking, like, am I sitting good with good posture? Like,
oh man, yeah.
Where are my hands? Are my hands in vis? Plain
I look
sight?
at the headlights, right? I just look at the headlights. I got at the headlights down to like, what kind of headlights am I dealing with?
Well, if you see like that extra grill where it's like, it looks like it kind of pushes you out of the way if it wants to.
Instinctively, my foot immediately goes off the gas and onto the brake. Even if I'm doing speed limit, I'm dropping 10 below, and then I'm resetting it from there.
See, that's the benefit for people out there driving the automatic transmissions. Like, I can just engine brake, and you don't see my brake lights. Still slow down. I don't have to go neutral. The automatic guys, you can't just. You guys are gonna mess up.
Yeah, my car now is Tiptronic, so I'm all usually in automatic mode. That's usually where I'm flipping to. Especially in Bay Area traffic, dude. It's gotten so bad out here.
Oh, that's the one thing. Like, I don't have to. So I'm in LA almost as much as I'm in San Francisco, because like I don't leave my neighborhood unless like I really like leave the area. Cause I'm old school. I like to kind of stay around one. Like, I got my gym is right 0.02 miles away, like right out the door. And then I live here. The grocery store I go to is like another block that way. I try not to, it's like I know all my neighbors. Like, it's nice and condensed. So the traffic, I can't do it. I
live in San Francisco, and I had a manual before I moved to the city. When I moved to the city, I don't know if anyone's ever seen the hills in San Francisco and trying to parallel parking in San Francisco. Good luck with it, my man. Yeah. So I when I got my next car, I was like, you know what? Tiptronic, I'll take it. I got auto. Parking is so much easier. And then on top of that, I'm driving over to Oakland all the time. You're driving through that bridge. Dude, you get into that traffic, and that's the beauty of podcasts, man. You get I usually put a nice, good podcast on, and just enjoy the ride, because you're going to be doing a lot of stop and go for the next hour.
It's crazy how much content I've listened to. When I used to do audiobooks quite a bit. I was doing like Audible stuff, and I listened to a lot of podcasts, obviously. But going to San Francisco every day. I used to work like right off of Sansom and Broadway. Okay, yeah. And I live here.
Wow.
And I want to do jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
So you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I would get there as early as possible. Then I would come flying back. Like, I would bail out of work so early, deliberately early. Like, I knew I shouldn't have left so early, but I'm like, nope. It would get anywhere near 4:00. And like, that's obviously not an appropriate time to leave most businesses, but I did. And I mean, I might not work there anymore, but I'm a black belt now, damn it.
It paid off, man. It paid off.
Yeah, it totally paid off. Like,
sacrifices to get to black belt, man. The training, it's not an easy task, man.
I mean, things can be going great in life. Things can be going awesome. And then there's times where it's not. And you look around, you're like, what the fuck? But then I can just sit back and be like, dude, I actually made it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, the funny thing is before you get your black belt, you think, man, like it feels like forever. And it's kind of funny now is like now when I got my black belt, it almost felt like I got my white belt again because like it felt like a fresh start. It felt like a fresh start. And then now, like I look back and I'm like, it didn't seem that long now, right?
Exactly.
Like next thing you know, you're a black belt as long as you were all the other belts before. It's like once you get there, you're there, man. You know, so enjoy the belts below it because it's gonna come quicker than you think.
Yeah, there's a lot of freedom with the lower belts, like the expectations and like your peer group, the ones you're judged against, like everything below brown belt, black, purple belt, blue belt, purple, you're only going to get so good. Then you have like a pressure release valve. You just get the next belt and you move on. Like, but with black belt, like the minute you're a black belt, it doesn't matter that there's like,
you got a target on your back, man. You got a target on your back. You better rep that.
It doesn't like you're the same belt as Renzo Gracie. You're like the same belt as Clark Gracie. You're like the same belt as Buchecha. Like all these guys that are like everybody. They have all these fans, and you know what I mean. Like they're like legendary. Like we're the same belt as those guys, and that's the peer group.
That puts an unnecessary target on your back.
You're like, you're a black belt, huh? Well,
you got the mystical powers or something, but now you're just a normal guy. That's the beauty of being a black. I mean, to get jiu-jitsu, to get a black belt, it's like a guarantee. All you have to do is stay consistent and keep putting in hard work. Right? Like imagine you did that with anything else in life. All you have to do is stay consistent. If you get that kind of a guarantee, you're like, all you have to do is stay consistent and put in hard work and it's going to happen eventually. There's no exact formula how long it's going to take because everybody's journey is different. Right? You know, and you want to expedite the process, compete, man. You know, if you're a blue belt and you're like, man, I should be a purple belt. I'm the baddest blue belt there is. Well, go prove it, man. The worlds are coming up. You know, we just had the worlds. Go out there, show the world what you got and just make it undeniable. You know?
Yeah, the folks that play the blame game and that are, I'm being overlooked and I'm not take it.
Yeah.
Like if you want that
enjoy
next
that
thing,
process.
Take it, and you'll know when you deserve it because you'll have it. It's the easiest way. It's just to take like responsibility and put it in your own hands. Say like grabbing the brass ring or whatever, but really it's just take responsibility. Like I'm not a millionaire. I know I'm not a millionaire. Like how I know I don't deserve it. I don't have it. If I did, I could have something in my hand say tangible. That's $1 million right there. I'm not saying I'm never going to be. I'm not saying whatever. I'm not nothing like that at all. I'm saying that right now I have evidence that I don't deserve it because I haven't earned it yet.
I'm glad you said that, man. That's a funny thing is like, I thought to myself when I was younger, I'm like, man, I wish I'd be a millionaire or whatnot, blah, blah, blah. And, dude, the reality I came to is the same one. I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, what have you done to be a millionaire? And I'm like, well, I've been pursuing jiu-jitsu. I've been enjoying this life. I've been enjoying these amazing adventures, beautiful people, beautiful experiences.
And it don't pay that much.
But it doesn't pay. You know what? We didn't get into jiu-jitsu for the money, and that's the reality you come to is there was another guy out there who wasn't enjoying these experiences and the hard work I was putting into jiu-jitsu, he was putting it into business. Right. And, bless him for it. I'm happy for him. I just didn't deserve it. So I'm learning about business a lot right now. With me opening up my own gym right now, I'm learning about all these permits and the licensing and, how you get everything in order. And man, I'm being a white belt again, I'm a white belt in business and learning how to get it going.
It's a totally different set of skills. And I mean, the discipline carries over.
You get a lot of respect for the guys that do know business. Cause that's a whole nother art right there.
It's so funny, man. You'll see, a lot of people come into like a 7-Eleven in a suit and you watch how they talk to the clerk. A lot of times it's a foreign person or whatever, and the English isn't great, and they're just in there buying whatever they're buying. And you see them turn their nose up like doctors and lawyers and other, whatever kings of industry go in there and they talk to the shop guy. But tell you what, man, the guys that own those 7-Elevens, they hustle and they make some money, man. Like owning those corner stores, those guys aren't broke. They're in there working at their own shop, and they're burning the midnight oil now. They're, it's crazy to see, like, you see how they're, people talk to them or whatever. Just like,
dude, I love the hustle, man. I love the hustle. I love seeing guys that are out there hustling and they're making it. I always loved that about jiu-jitsu, seeing the guys that were hustling, because that's the beauty about jiu-jitsu. It doesn't lie. You know who's putting in the hard work and who's not.
Yeah.
The mats don't lie. I'll tell you right away. And everyone knows, it doesn't matter what belt you are. Dude, we got guys that are like purple belts and brown belts that are just killing it.
Yeah.
They're just hustling their ass off. You know what I mean? And it shows,
So, yeah, there's one notable kind of guy that's got a lot of hustle, actually, from, you probably know him, from Tarzana from Jean-Jacques.
Okay, yeah.
Eric Medina.
Yeah.
Just won Worlds this year.
Dude, he is
Nogi Worlds.
He has been grinding for years. I love that guy.
Dude, he's like the nicest guy. Like that whole, like him, Joey House, like the whole LA Jiu Jitsu club crew.
He's doing that Wim Hof stuff too. I just seen he's doing it.
Yeah.
That's I like it, man. He's taking it to a whole nother extreme. I seen a video of him the other day. He's like just having a normal conversation in an ice bath. Yep. And I'm like, I do the ice bath too, but I'm shaking and I'm just like chanting little quotes to myself to get me to think of something else. And I wouldn't be able to have a normal conversation with you while doing it.
No, man, that guy holds it down. Like he's over there grinding it at Jean-Jacques. I'm pretty sure he's at 10th Planet headquarters doing Nogi too. He's doing like his wrestling stuff. Like he's been, wrestling for years. But then he has his actual 9 to 5. He has a real proper gig, and then he runs LA Jiu Jitsu Club, like the Airbnb Jiu Jitsu thing. Like if you guys are in LA, think Airbnb that has training. It has yoga. I think it has they have the ice bath. They might even still. I think they still have the float tank there.
Wow, I didn't even know they had all that.
So they had they used to have the tank. I don't know if it's operational now, but it was Felicia O's.
Damn. Okay.
Like her tank was just there, so it might be working. But I've seen him do the ice bath. I've seen him do like the breathing, the breath work stuff, and the whole.
I'm big into breathing, man. Breathing is really key. That is a huge overlooked part of jiu-jitsu is breathing. Denny really got into that. He was a lot of people don't know, but Denny's also a yogi, right? So he's like certified. I believe it's Kundalini. Don't quote me on that one, but I'm pretty sure it's Kundalini yoga. But man, he gets you doing like the breath of fire and a couple other different stuff. Dude, he's got a couple breathing techniques. I've implemented them as part of myself, and they're huge, game changing. Breathing is a game changer.
That's definitely something I want to look into more. I started looking at the whole Wim Hof thing before Kyle Kingsbury moved off to do the On It thing in Austin. He was my neighbor for years, man. He got all into that, and I started kind of checking it out and reading more about it and trying to do it. But it's pretty cool. There's a lot to it.
Hickson was doing those breathing exercises. Everyone's seen that video of Hickson doing his crazy breathing exercises. Breathing, man. Breathing, that is a game changer.
Definitely, man. It's one of those things that you see people doing, or you'll see people kind of breathing, doing like the weird sort of like almost, it looks like they're like kind of hyperventilating, but they're not. And, kind of having your abdomen.
Oh, it looks hilarious. If you don't know what's happening, you're like, what the hell is this guy doing?
That old man's having a panic attack. Like, no, it's not what that is.
And it sounds funny when you're probably like, if people don't know what you were talking about, like they're probably thinking like breathing. Yeah, of course you're supposed to breathe. You know what I mean? But it's just like, there's so much more to it. There is an actual science of like proper breathing techniques for different situations and to prepare yourself going in, during, and after.
Yeah, man, it's a whole like field of study. And so the ice baths, like if you guys don't know what Wim Hof is, he's the Iceman, right? His what was it, like his wife died or committed suicide, something like that.
I don't even know that backstory. No.
So that's like the ice is what healed his heart. I mean, like his wife had died. Wow. And this is what, like, it's what he went to. It's what he put himself through in order to get over it, or just to get through it. And this is like the abridged, butchered version of what happened. But his backstory is cool. It's Wim Hof, WIMHOFF. Is a Dutch guy, or is he just,
I don't know where he's from, man. All I know is I saw those videos of him running around, like barefoot in the ice on the glaciers, and I thought he was crazy for it. And then next thing you know, it just started popping up more. And then I started like actually looking into his concepts there of the cold. And then I started taking the cold showers. And it actually reminds me, so like back home in Germany, we have this thing is like, if you look at a lot of the hikes, right? So like where I'm from, it's like, it's very close to the Alps. We have a lot of hiking trails, a lot of big mountains and whatnot. And what you'll see these little ponds, right? They're little man-made, like squares, and there's fresh glacier water that gets flowing through it. It's freezing, right? But they have a little walk thing, and you walk inside them, you walk circles. So when you're done with the hike and your feet are all swollen, you got everything going on in your foot, you walk in this like knee deep water, and it helps all the swelling and everything that you just did on your hike. And it helps relieve it right there. So they've been doing that for hundreds of years. You realize you're like, wow, there's some real people around the world who've been doing this for years.
Yeah, there's something about the cold, and there's something about actually getting out there in like an actual body of water. I know the water out here is kind of cold, Santa Cruz, and the whole Pacific right here in Monterey Bay.
Come to San Francisco, it's freezing. Ocean Beach, man, Jesus.
It's supposed to be really good for you, though, the salt water, but then the cold salt water. Something about actually getting out there barefoot and having that connection with the earth and actually being in the water. There's some definite healing properties to all that, and
for sure.
I think we're disconnected from.
Speaking of Ocean Beach, speaking of Ocean Beach, it used to be crazy. Is Ben Eddy, the Hindulatine master guy? He's one of my best friends, and so when he lived in San Francisco, he would go and like swim in literally just swim trunks. Like everyone else is like surfing in a wetsuit and everything like that. And he'd like be sitting out there because he loves the cold, man. Out there in Oregon, they got a lot of cold water up there. And he'd go swimming in the ocean there. And I just kept thinking, I'm like, this guy's going to die. This guy's going to die. But you realize he got past the mental barrier of it. I can barely put my feet in there, but he's sitting in there just swimming for, a good amount of time without a wetsuit or anything. I'm not saying to do that. It's probably not the, smartest thing to do if you don't know what you're doing, but he does know what he's doing and he's able to pull it off.
I'll do like one good jump in, once a year in the winter.
Nice plunge.
Yeah, just to do it and, get in up to my head and kind of float around for a second, but I don't stay in long.
You've been to Banya?
Huh?
You ever been to Banya?
No.
Oh man, that's something you got to look into. In San Francisco, there's a place called Banya. It's like a Russian bathhouse.
Okay, cool.
Right? And so it's amazing what they do is you have a couple different options. So they have the cold plunge, right? It's this super, super cold water, and you get to jump into it. You get to completely submerge yourself into it, and then you get to go after that. And then they have different stations, right? So they have a normal sauna, right? And then they have like the Russian sauna where they like beat you with these eucalyptus leaves. I think it's eucalyptus, and it's supposed to like bring the blood out to the skin, and it has like they have their own concepts on it, but it's really, really hot. And I want to say it's definitely hotter than a normal sauna.
Oh shit.
And then they have the steam rooms, which also has some kind of plant, mixture in there. It makes your eyes kind of burn in water a little bit. So there's the steam one. And then they have the jacuzzis, and then they have the pool, right? So they have, But yeah, and so basically the fun thing, we like to go there a lot. All the El Nino guys go all the time. And, me and Denny go a lot. So does Adam, Big Red. He goes there a lot.
Oh, cool.
We all love it. It is, you go cold, hot. And man, you're tired afterwards. You pass out. I get home and I fall asleep right after it. But if you haven't, you got to come visit, man. I'll take you there. And it's
for sure, man. It's like a whole contrast therapy. Like that's a whole PT technique, right?
Yeah.
It's just that hot and then cold. Like I can't even remember. I think I broke a hand or a finger or something. They had me doing the contrasting thing. I've had so many stupid injuries. I don't even remember like the specific one anymore. I'm like, oh, I remember doing that, but
remember that hot and the cold?
I remember
it's like icy hot, right?
Yeah,
it's where like, icy. Literally, it's icy hot.
Exactly.
Going hot and cold, man.
Yeah, but like the real version of it. I got to try that, man. Like I've always wanted to go to one of those, whatever you call them, the Banya.
Yeah.
Isn't there like there's like a Muslim version of that too? There's like a name for it. I don't know what it's called, but they have like,
I don't know.
They're also like that type of like Russian bath thing.
I know the Japanese got it. The Japanese are pretty big into the bathhouses. Theirs is more like a steam. It's a steamy. It's like a steam room, from my understanding. I could be totally wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but that's just my understanding and what I remember it being. But I go to the Russian one, the Russian bathhouse, Banya, dude. It's legit. It's absolutely legit.
That's going on the list. I don't get to San Francisco nearly as often as I'd like, but I got just working there. The traffic now when I go up there, I'm like, oh, I'm looking the traffic. But Caltrain's cool.
Yeah,
Caltrain's really cool. It's clean.
Dude, I heard Caltrain has stepped their game up there.
It's pretty good.
Bart needs to step up their game. That's what's next. Yeah. Caltrain stepped up your game. Let's get Bart to step up their game.
Yeah, Bart can get kind of sketch. So.
Dude, Bart's got. You know how they have that website like People of Walmart.
Yeah,
they gotta make one of those for the Bart. If they don't already have it, I'm sure it's already out there. But like the People of Bart,
like a Florida man or whatever.
Jesus, yeah. There's some pretty crazy shit going on Bart, man.
Right on, man. So what do you got coming up? Any tournaments? Any fights?
So I was planning on doing I was planning on doing the West Coast trials, but I think I'm gonna hold off on that. I held off on doing the Worlds too. I'm opening up my gym right now in Oakland, and balancing those two between opening this gym and competing right now, it just didn't make sense right now, man. So I'm focusing. I decided I'm gonna dedicate myself 100%, build this gym. I'm really, really excited about it, man. I got a lot of really cool guys that are gonna join me on this, and we're gonna have a really kick-ass team over in Oakland. Once I get a little bit more established, that's when I'm going to go back into competition. So I'm taking a quick little pause on the button. But believe me, I'm hungry. I'm hungry to get out there and competing. Watching Worlds last weekend, I was losing my shit. I wanted to compete so badly.
You see Gordon out there and just, what did he score, like 50-something points or 47?
46 points, I think it was.
And then like
he's phenomenal.
He just got that arm at the end and just took it. It's like
Yeah, I think I mean obviously he got the arm bar. The guy at that point I think was just like, all right, dude, you got this. Like
please.
Yeah, and in luck, Gordon was nice about it. He didn't like crank on it when the guy.
It was pretty classy.
It was. Yeah, I definitely say that was handled in a classy way.
Yeah, like he obviously. Well, I mean, he get to 47 points. He got to feel pretty bad at that point.
Dude, that's got to be like a record, man. That's
the worst part is I think it's not one. Like it sounds. No, I think they're like
black belt.
I've heard of someone getting closer to like the 100 mark.
Wow.
And it's at that point it's like, dude, it's
I
kind of
know
a dick
what that
move.
matchup was. Like what was that matchup to get over 100 points?
Well, there's no seeding in our sport, man. So you could have like the best in the world going against number 2 in the world in the first round, or you can just have anybody.
Yeah.
Because at certain divisions, just because you're in Masters, you don't need points to qualify.
That is a weird thing. Anybody really can compete at Worlds.
You can go never do a tournament in your life and have the same statistical chance.
The guy who goes every weekend. He's in Texas. He's in Georgia. He's New York, wherever. Doing all of them.
Yeah, somebody slips in a banana peel. You're a world champion. Whatever. I don't know. Obviously, you're not likely if like the guy that does versus doesn't. But
I think in all other sports, it's far more likely. I think in jiu-jitsu, man, it's the random luck. That's
yeah,
man.
You can be so good at something and overshoot it by like a millimeter. Yeah. And that's like the difference. Like, oh, I got this arm drag. And then all of a sudden, he got it. Because he was quicker. He took up the space quicker and didn't rebound. Your bare foot, there's, sweat everywhere. It's like you catch a little slippy spot right there.
Yeah.
Your whole game could be done just over a little slippy spot.
That's a crazy. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a fight, so anything can happen.
It's dynamic, man. Pieces move around in different ways, and
I have a hard time with the points, though, man. I really do. I've always been that. I took a break. So I competed IBJJF all starting in my jiu-jitsu career, and then I took a break and really focused on the sub only. And man, I really think there's got to be a merger between those two worlds because neither of them is like 100% incorrect. Right? Because some of the stuff that's happening in the sub-only world is just so unrealistic. And a lot of the stuff happening in IBJJF is complete bullshit. You know what I mean? It's completely, how guys are literally like putting themselves, they're throwing their lace in their leg in there just to get the sweep. And I'm like, bro, in sub-only, I'm going to heel hook you, man. You can't be putting your leg in there like that. I think, I had this idea a while back. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, they should do a sub-only tournament with no time limit, but there's a catch, right? So instead of a typical sub-only tournament, why don't you make it like 25 points or 20 points, right? Something crazy like that, where it's like, okay, you're putting the best of the two people in there. you're going to go and you're going to say, hey, the sub only guys, there's no time limit, man. If you're good enough to stop this points player from playing his points game, right? You can sub him in this time, right? But the points guy, it's like, all right, you're so good at points, rack up your points, rack it up. And if you hit 25, you win. And the sub guy, if you sub him, you win, right? But it's kind of like, because like ADCC right now, in my opinion, is the current pinnacle top of the food chain, right? I think that is the elite of the elite. That's where you're getting not just world champions, but all the different multiple time world champions going against each other.
And are they still, I mean, I know a couple of years ago, they had like Keenan and one of like the Meow brothers, they did like a double guard pull and they're like, get out.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they threw a match out or something. Like it was just a lot of, they were both sitting guard, they were both pulling guard, and it was just like, they cut it off.
I mean,
it was a couple of years ago when, they were both fresh black belts. But
might have been maybe in the finals or something like that. But no, they just give you a negative point, I believe, when you pull. If you pull guard in ADCC, they give you a negative point after points are in effect.
What if there's a double pull? Do they allow it?
I don't know the double pull rule. I might need to Google that one.
Yeah, and in IBJJF, it feels like every year or two that one changes too.
Yeah,
because like the whole gi game and points, a lot of it's weird. And I think a lot of it they're just trying to like go and figure out like what the best version of those rules are, because it's one thing to be better in a position or just more technical than the next guy. It's another thing like are you doing jiu-jitsu or are you gaming a point system?
Well, that's what it's going to come down to. So no matter what you come up with, someone is going to game it and strategize it and ruin it. You know what I mean? Even EBI. EBI was meant to stop all this stuff, and Eddie constantly has to change the rules because someone's going to fucking find a loophole and expose it. And Eddie's, luckily, that's the beauty of Eddie. Eddie will always evolve and keep trying to make it to just get rid of those loopholes. Like if there's a loophole, he's like, nah, man, get rid of that.
There was, I think a year or two ago, there was, it was San Jose Open. I saw it then the SF Open as well. The guys would shake hands, bump fists, and then the guy would take 2 steps out, 2 steps back, 2 steps back. It's like, why does he keep doing that? And every single time he was waiting for the takedown and he would sprawl and go out of bounds, sprawl, go out of bounds.
Oh yeah, there's those guys. They run the perimeter. You know who we saw that a lot was, did you watch that? Was it Kasai with PJ Barch and Canuto?
No.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing is like he threw him off a couple times, and it's like if you run in the perimeter, and that's a crazy thing on those big stages. You get thrown off that big stage, man. Whew, that sucks, But that's the thing is like you see it. I think I saw it also. Was it Galvao and Hamla Bahal when he threw him off there with a takedown off it? And it's like, yeah, you don't want to play that game on the high stage, but in IBJJF, you can play that game of takedowns will not be they're just valid. I like how ADCC does that though. ADCC, man, they let it go. They don't give a fuck. It fucking runs into like the point stand. It goes off onto the hardwood floor. Dude, ADCC don't care.
That's pretty cool. It's closer to a fight. I mean, we have, padded, walls or, what at our gym here. And if you run in the wall, it's like you're
just keep it going, man. It's live.
It's like, get up, do whatever you're going to do, whatever you were planning to do anyway. Like it's there. You're up against a wall now.
That's why I was saying ADCC to me, that is the king. You just keep it going. It don't matter. The only thing that I have to say to complain about the rule set is the guys that play the system. It's not actually the rules. It's the guys that play the system to it, right? They want to stall out for the first half where there's no points, right? And then as soon as that timer clicks in, that's when they start playing. So you're just disengaging enough to not get DQ'd or stall points. You're just engaging just enough for that. And then the points kick in and now you're willing to play, God, there's going to be another tournament that's going to come out. Someone's going to come up with something that's going to change it.
EBI is definitely a popular format right now. I'm enjoying these fight to win pros.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like production value and like just as a live event, the whole deal, they're fun. They put together good matches.
Seth is a hustler, bro.
Dude, those guys don't sleep.
Those guys, dude, talking about hustlers, man, I got much love fucking for Seth, man. He's in a different city every other night.
Seth, was it Missy? And then the Mike Columbus, the camera guy, right?
Oh, he's a part of that too.
He's at every single one.
He's everywhere.
He's got it. Did he just win Worlds at Brown, I think?
Dude, I don't know, man, but if you did, congratulations, bro. I'm really happy
I saw
for
him
you.
with the medal. I'm like, really? Cool. He just got his brown.
A lot of photographers, they are everywhere. They are everywhere.
He competed and he was doing the photography for that event for Nogi
on
Worlds.
the same event.
Yeah.
Oh, that's savage.
He's
bro.
like
That's
on his Instagram. He's like, photos are available. Blah 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 blah. Then it shows him with the damn the medal on the next one. I'm like, wow, that guy's got hustle, man. That's
savage
cool.
hustler right there, bro.
Yeah, that's cool. I filled in at the San Jose. I did commentary for like 5 hours, and you don't really. Because it's just go. It's just match after match. It's like there's constant action. But I needed to pee for like 3 hours to the point where like when I finally went to get up, it was like hard to pee. It was like no, seriously, we're really gonna go this time.
Just hold it for so long that it's kind of like when you're hungry, right? You're like hungry, and then at a point there's like you're not hungry anymore.
But like you might die. You have to
need
eat,
to eat, but you're not hungry anymore.
It was bad. Like they're trying to like close the building down because like they rent them for a certain amount of time. I'm like, all right, cool,
dude. I didn't even know about that until EBI. I remember we did an EBI there. And then like it went a little bit late, and then at the end of it, like Eddie's sitting there with the clock. He's like, "All right, guys, get the fuck out of here. We got to get this shit out now." Like,
oh yeah,
we got 5 more minutes.
If it's a union building, that time, like you can't.
Oh, is that what it is? It's a union thing.
I think it's more of a deal in terms of like it's more important to get out there on time because it's way more expensive if you keep them over that limit.
That's what it was. There was like I guess some crazy fee if you'd have went over that 5-minute mark.
I think it's a union thing. I think like the if it's non-union, they can just have an agreement and they're like, whatever, whenever you want. But like when I think the labor unions are a thing, I think it becomes like way more like structured and strict. And like those people are on a certain amount of time, the building's a certain amount of time, and you're breaking some regulation, or it becomes like a whole other thing.
That makes sense, man. I was wondering it for a while because I'm like, dude, there's not another like show coming on or anything like that. Like the building's going to close. Like what does the last 5 minutes matter? That 5 minute mattered. The 5 minutes definitely mattered.
It does matter. Like I've worked like a bunch of like trade shows and like conventions and stuff, and like everything is like dotted I's, crossed T's. Like everything is exactly, and this is when things have to be in. If you want to bring anything into the like for like a trade show or like a expo or whatever, if you want to bring stuff in like to the booth or whatever, you would have to like bring it to the union and they have to bring it in. Like they would have to like plug in the different. Like there was all different exact ways things had to go. Like you couldn't just build your own thing.
Oh yeah.
It was, and then a lot of those buildings as well. Like they're the same buildings that they're using for those events. And like I've ran events at some of the same ones where I've seen like Fight to Win, and then again some of them where I've seen like jiu-jitsu tournaments and stuff. And you can kind of see how like SF Open the one time it was like the fire code. Like there was too many people said cut tournament registrations off like early. Damn. And so I guess fire code's a big deal if you're in a city, because if there's a fire in San Francisco and all the buildings are so close together, like I guess it would be a big deal.
We're just gym rats trying to make it happen here, man. We're jiu-jitsu guys that are just like like I said, these hustlers, man, savages for learning it, and that's the whole thing, trial and error. You just got to throw a couple events, and then I'm sure they have run into some interesting things that you just wouldn't have thought about.
Yeah, there's some cool venues though, man. I like that. Was Orpheum where they do the EBI? Yeah. It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool. The new one I'm really impressed with is the one upcoming in New York. I want to get on one of those cards of the Kasai. That looked really cool inside there, man. Really like that one.
Kasai is cool, man. The ACB thing, like.
Oh, actually, that one. Are they still a thing though?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought they were like doing a transition to more MMA. Because there was a lot of guys that were there was a thing for a while where a lot of guys were talking about how they're like on exclusive contracts, right?
Oh.
Right? So like that was the thing. Remember, like even Gordon would be an example of the guys, they were like on exclusive ACB contracts, right? And then now you see them competing again in other tournaments, right? And so that's the only reason why I say that. So if I'm incorrect, I apologize.
I think they are doing grappling still.
I know they're doing MMA. now. I just haven't seen anything. They threw some pretty impressive cards together. They put some serious money into that.
They're in like Kazakhstan or something, and then
they're somewhere over there, and they're throwing some pretty dude. They had Yuri and Felipe Pena, Galvao, Ball.
Everybody.
Dude, they put some pretty good shows on. And that was the crazy thing is like I thought it was interesting was they didn't market it enough. I don't think enough people knew about it because
it's free.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. For being a free event, you still got to market this because you're trying to build it into something, right? Yeah. You're trying to build it into something, and so if you're showing it for free, you're trying to get eyes on it.
Yeah, but so first of all, to get all of these names to Eastern Europe like that, from Brazil, from the U.S., from all over,
Davi Ramos from Brazil, all these guys,
they're paying, and like they have a very professional broadcast. Like that stream is for where it is. It's like 1080p or 4K the whole time. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you got great broadcasting. It's like
do you see the seats on the side?
Oh no.
Dude, I remember seeing the seats, like there was like an area like where these like really fancy ass seats and rugs and stuff like that. And I was just like looking at them like, I want to know who's sitting there.
Yeah, their business model isn't what people probably think it is. I think it's gotta be something else. Like just because we're thinking like, you want to get people to go, but like these guys aren't
some pride stuff, right? It's run by the Yakuza.
I don't know who runs it, but whoever does is
not Yakuza over there. They have their own thing.
They got deep pockets, man, and it might just be like a betting thing. People just might bet on it. It might be like a whole thing.
Yeah,
because they're doing it for a reason. They're putting money into it, and if you put so much money into something, you don't market it. Maybe they just don't market it by us because it's way over there on the other side of the world. They could be making bank on it. We just don't even know. Like,
yeah,
it could be a whole thing.
That's a real thing, dude. And I think like if you look at the European circuit, a lot of the guys, you have straight really talented people over there that are you're not going to hear about them because over in there it's not as big as it is here, or they don't have enough they're getting more tournaments over there, right? Like Polaris just started over there. They're doing pretty big. So it's giving a lot more people in the UK and the European scene like a platform. ACB is doing it. There's a lot of, they're starting to, but I think there's a lot of guys that they're going to go unnoticed for a long time because of just where they live.
Yeah. It just, the level right now is getting to a point where everybody's so good. Getting noticed, you'll have standouts from everywhere, but the level in certain areas is going to be more technical and in some
and standing out as being a good dude is hard, right? That's a big change that we've really seen in the last couple of years is like living by the jiu-jitsu code of being respectful, having honor, just being humble, Now you see all these tournaments coming out, and it's different because you're not just competing like at an IBJJF event. Now you are a form of entertainment, right? This is about making money now, and so with that you have the whole what I would call like the Conor McGregor syndrome, right? It's the shit talking syndrome. It is the we got to sell this. You got to sell this.
At the point you start getting paid for it, and you said entertainment, it's show business, right?
Exactly.
So you could have the two best guys in the world, and that's a great story, but it's only one story. And sometimes it's a championship. So all this, okay, that's a prop. They have a trophy or a belt. It's a prop.
Yeah.
It's part of the two key questions that you have to answer with any of these events, any of these fights, any wrestling match, any jiu-jitsu match, any combat jiu-jitsu. It doesn't matter. Why are they fighting, and why should I pay to watch it?
Exactly.
And those two things
flow grappling ain't cheap, man.
No, but it's
even all these pay-per-views, it adds up.
It's a tremendous tool for college recruiters, right?
Yeah.
It's a tremendous tool for the UFC to look at, who's doing what, colleges, because you could have flow wrestling, you could have all the amateur wrestling, high school and beyond.
Can you imagine if they had college recruiters for MMA and jiu-jitsu, right? So instead now we'll do it at the high school level, right? You got a line of black belts with clipboards and standing in front of the wrestling mats. Who are they going to recruit from your local high school?
I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't out there already.
2025, or just gave them the strategy of the game plan.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't out there already. I know with universities the back in the day the WWE would recruit it.
Really?
Well, yeah, that's where they got what's his name, Jake Hagar or whatever. He's Oklahoma guy. He's fighting in Bellator on the main card now. He's a, All-American Oklahoma wrestler. You would have had at the time, Kurt Angle, but he was already a big thing at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley was amateur wrestler. Brock Lesnar, amateur wrestler.
Yeah.
A couple of the other guys.
Wrestling definitely in MMA is proving its dominance, right? Like, who are the guys at the top of the food chain? Like, you've seen different waves of stuff, like, right? So in the beginning of the UFC, obviously jiu-jitsu was dominating, and then people had to address that problem. People had to address and say, all right, we got to learn this. We can't get away with not learning this. So when you even out that playing field, the next thing came up, and the next thing came up, and then it's a constant game of this evolve. People playing catch up, even playing field, next thing, right? And the one thing that's consistent is wrestlers, man.
It is. It's the work ethic but just the immersion in everything. Everybody's got to be good at everything now, and being a freak athlete is going to be necessary.
Nowadays you can't just get it with the hard work. The body is going to come into it.
Yeah, exactly. Like this
genetics.
It's like the NFL. Look at the size of people over the last couple decades, man. Like they're larger people, just larger. Like they've evolved and like specific to the sport. And whether you say it's natural or in sports science or whatever, like they changed, and the athleticism and the genes, like the actual people that are filling those uniforms, like they're different and they're specialized. The MMA is going to be no different, man. Like you're not going to be able to just have a really good move and no one can stop that move. That's not going to be enough.
No, there's too much money involved into it. The more money involved, the more trainers you're going to get, the more natural athletes, and the more you're going to combine those two to create packages. That's how all the other sports got it. Dude, when you look at these guys, you stand next to an NBA player and you're like, holy, it's one thing to see him on TV. When you stand next to them, you're like, "Oh my God, dude, you are a giant."
You walk up next to a 7-foot person or damn near 7-foot person that's faster than you.
Yeah, and even the NFL players, like over at Tarek's gym in San Francisco, he's got a lot of NFL players. He gets like Marshawn Lynch and those guys. They come through. And you stand next to those guys, and you're like, "Damn, you are a huge human being."
We had Andre Carter when he was a white belt and he's one of Jean Jacques' guys. We would come up here. He was working for the Niners for a while. He just went down. He's in Miami now, but the guy was like 6'5", 6'6", and like made of ab. He was like just a giant 260, 275 pound like 6-pack.
I want to see those guys in jiu-jitsu. That's what I want to see. I can't wait for that.
He was getting good, and he was, he just got his blue belt, but, he's even as a black belt, like he was so strong and explosive. Like you had to, everything you would do against like a regular white belt or blue belt, you had to snug it up. Like
the days of casual training, and then those are over. You're going to get these guys. Those are the guys you're facing. That's the future.
Yeah. There's people they're just genetically, physically superior to everyone else. Like this new generation of athletes just is better.
So you're going to have genetics plus hard work plus the crazy teams behind them. And then only the 1% of that survives.
Yeah, like this, then like the nutrition and sports science and like all the healing and recovery stuff that you had access to, like just the beginning of now, but like at the peak of like when the next generation is like where we are, it's going to be like whole different paradigm shift. Like people are just going to be a leap and bound in front. Records that we have now, they're going to be smashed. Smashed.
Like when you look at like track records and stuff and how they've
jumping, running, and everything. Like, just look at John Jones, how he's able to move for his size, and just like you see, he was like capturing world titles like while he's out there partying, just having fun. Not really. Is he giving it 100%? He didn't really have to, did he?
Well, that's the thing is, man, he's a heavyweight, and that's what we talked about earlier. Is those heavyweights that can finally move. And he was like one of the first ones that he's like, oh yeah, I can move,
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's what we're doing, cool. Yeah, Kane definitely had that. Jones did. I would have liked to have seen a pure, like not pure, like a Brock Lesnar not tainted by the pro wrestling thing. I would have rather have seen him like right from college wrestling and like learning how to strike properly. And
how big was he then? I want to see a picture of how that dude looked then.
260.
Pre horse meat.
Oh, well.
He's probably taking eating. So excuse me. He's probably eating.
What was
eating
he
whole horses?
So in college, he was a heavyweight, right? So he was already a heavyweight wrestler.
Damn.
So he started JUCO and got him. He got into where the hell he went to Minnesota.
Yeah, I think so. I think Minnesota sounds about right.
University of Minnesota. Yeah, he kind of walked on after like I guess a semester, a year at JUCO, and did pretty well there, and wound up All-American, national champion, all that stuff.
Damn.
But he was just big. He was just big, and at that age, I don't think it was much more than horse meat. But learning like the striking and learning like just putting all together at that point under a good camp would have went a long way to making heavyweight fights really horrible places to visit if you're not him.
I think the heavyweight division is going to be something that kind of got it right. So for the longest time, the lightweights never existed. Those were only like in WEC, right? Yep. The smaller guys, they were fighting in WEC. The UFC acquired them. And then now all of a sudden people are like, oh shit, they're fucking entertaining. Because they got crazy technique. They got crazy speed. They got to be so good at everything that I think it kind of like overshadowed actually the heavyweights, because the heavyweights were just big knockouts. And then now I think there's a shift in MMA where there's people are more interested in technique. Back then they wanted a bloodbath. Everyone wanted, and there's still a big percentage that want a bloodbath. They just want to see a knockout. But now people are starting to see the sweet art of it, man. They're seeing the beauty and the art of it. And so those more technical ones, as the evolution of it, become more entertaining. Now we're getting those heavyweights that can do all of it.
Real quick, last thing. You mentioned heavyweight. Do you see heavyweight division being better off as two divisions, like a heavyweight than a super heavyweight? Like, because a 206-pound person and a 264-pound person are in the same division.
Yeah, 100%. I think all the brackets, like in MMA, definitely they need more weight divisions. But I think even in jiu-jitsu, you need more weight divisions. It's kind of like what was the option? I think, don't quote me on this, I'm going to butcher it, but I think in like IBJJF it was like 202 or something like that, or like 188 or something like that.
Yeah, so it's
like, you got to give me an in-between point. Give me a 190 something. There should be 10-pound differences.
It's like at least 194, then 208, and then 221 and nothing. Unlimited after 221.
I think jiu-jitsu, MMA, everywhere, the whole weight cutting issue's got to stop, man. Like people are just killing themselves over these weight cuts. I'm all about keeping people healthy, man. Looking at the long term. What is the long term of this sport, right? And cutting weight, that fucks you up, man. It fucks up your internals. There's a long term, like the long term effect of it. That's why you see all those fat wrestlers, like all the guys that were champs before, they all get beer bellies. And it's like, man, you fucked up your body doing all these weight cuts, And I know it's coming for me eventually. I'm gonna do my best to not, but I think that's a huge thing. So seeing more weight divisions, and what's another thing I'd like to see? Jiu-jitsu in general, just taking on more of the professionalism of all the other sports. But when you look at seasons, no one talks about this in jiu-jitsu, and that's probably part of the reason that we're all beat up. Because if you're going in jiu-jitsu and you're serious about it, you're the type of guy to just go hard all the fucking time, no matter what, right? And that's good. That's good. But even wrestling, they got seasons. There's a football season and an off season, right? There's a season when you're doing strength and conditioning. There's a season when you're competing. And then, during there's a certain time that you're training. And I think that if we're looking and focusing at the long-term investment of our community and our athletes, I think that's something that should be addressed. Weight cutting, making more divisions to make that more, and also looking at seasons.
Absolutely, man. I think the more we can do to sort of limit the unsafe weight cuts, because you have a lot of people that don't know how to eat right anyway, so they're going, okay, let's go, we'll cut the fat out, and then we'll cut the water out, and we'll make weight that way. And then, well, what do you think your brain's made of? And the thing keeping your brain safe is also made of fat and water. So you start going and getting, knocked around, and come on, there's concussions in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And you're more susceptible to it if you drain all the water out of your body, because that's kind of what was keeping your brain safe to begin with. So, that dehydration is not good for you.
No, definitely not. And it's also, that's the other thing you talk about when you say people aren't eating right. It's like, are you cutting weight or are you losing weight? Right? There's the guys that are like, oh man, this tournament's in like 3 to 4 weeks. I'm just going to cut a bunch of weight. And it's like, dude, you were just eating like burgers. And I'm totally one of those guys, man. Don't get me wrong. But I also know that, you know what I mean? Like there is more of a healthier lifestyle option out there. I'm not perfect in that aspect, but are you losing weight or are you cutting weight? And then both of them are, you know, in that kind of a time window.
If you've been doing this, you know, thing for people out there training for any, you know, number of years, you know what you can eat the day before and you know what you can't. You know how you feel if you eat the wrong thing the night before training.
Yep.
You're slow. You feel like everything you're doing is just sticking to the mat. You could be doing no gi and it feels like you're wearing 2 gis. You're just stuck, man. Like your shoulders won't, you know, like you're glued to the mat. You know, that's why, like, you know, Gracie diet was like largely plant-based. It wasn't a lot of complex carbs. It was like no sugar.
Yeah.
So like anything,
there's some truth to it for sure.
like anything that would make you feel like queasy or like you just indigestion or whatever when you're on the mat, you're not going to perform right. If your gut ain't right, you're not fighting right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's the future I want to see for our sport. More professionalism in it, giving it more safer for our athletes, our community. Less of these extreme weight cuts and, you know, more protecting of it, learning about the rehab, learning about everything so that we can make sure that people aren't freaking all crippled. Like I was joking about it with Denny. I was like, hey, Denny, in front of the academy, we're going to have a bunch of handicap placards out there for all the students that are all the OGs. You're going to have like 20 fucking handicap spots out front.
You'll do like the like, you know, the park, those parking blocks in front of the parking space. You could do like the black belt one where it's like black with like little stripes or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like have like the handicap symbol. Like those, like all the handicap symbols have like black belts. It's like,
yeah, have a little handicap sticker with little black belt on.
Exactly. Well, man, to find those cool parking spots, you would go to 10th Planet in Oakland. Get some information about that gym, how people can find you on the interwebs.
Yes, please. So it's www.10thplanetoakland.com. We're at 301 8th Street. We're in downtown Oakland. Please come check us out, man. Check out the website, link with us, and you're going to have a fun journey if you join with us.
Are you on Instagram, any of that stuff?
Yeah. Sorry, dude. I forgot about all those. Facebook, same thing as 10th Planet Oakland. And then on Instagram as well, it's 10th Planet Oakland.
Well, very cool, man. As always, it's a pleasure to be in your cars and radios. And it's Michael Hillebrand from 10th Planet Oakland. Thanks as always to Want versus Need. Hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday season. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, whatever else you do. I don't really know. There's probably like a bunch and I'm making people upset, but whatever. Happy everything. Be safe. Lots of love. Do jiu-jitsu. Don't die.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.